There is some uh, sort of relationship between pay and teacher shortages, but it's not entirely clear. I suppose the biggest factor is what's the pay, what's the income of other graduate professions that teachers could otherwise have been in. So it's not so much what's the situation in pay with teachers, but how does it relate to other areas? If students in areas like humanities, law, sports, science, and so on got jobs that had higher pay, they were given pay rises, that would tend to encourage teacher shortages because the people who might have become teachers might then take those. But there's a lot more to it than pay. And many of the things that might affect teacher shortages are not things that we can change easily. For example, the population density of a country. There are teacher shortages in areas with slightly lower population density, but not in, solid urban areas. Countries like Singapore never seem to have a problem. Now, we don't know why that is exactly. Things that matter most are things like, I suppose you could summarize it as the reputation or the prestige of teachers in society. But of course, that's actually quite a big thing. There's lots of things, lots of parts to it. It's partly the way in which they're portrayed in the media and in fiction. But perhaps most importantly, it's whether we control the abuse and intimidation of teachers by students. The second thing, I suppose, major factor is the working hours. When the working hours of teachers, the contractual working hours of teachers are longer, there's actually less chance of a teacher shortage. It's not the working hours so much as the teaching hours, the contact hours for students. So if the ratio of teaching hours to working hours, contracted working hours, is high, that seems to be happening in countries with shortages. But there are other countries where there's quite a high working hour rate to the amount of contact they have. So teachers get time to prepare, to mark, and so on. Then there seems to be less of a problem. So the prestige of teachers, the professional esteem in which they're held, is related partly to their pay, partly to the resources of school, but how they're treated by students, how society treats them, and how much downtime they have in their job when they're not actually, in front of a class.